everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today, where today, everybody, the Blue Jays, they make another signing, and no, it's not Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They bring back a fan favorite that's also not Vladimir Guerrero Jr. However, I think a lot of people might be turning on Vladdy. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They bring back a fan favorite, Ryan Yarborough. We've been talking about it all offseason. Man, we need a lefty. Man, we need more starting pitching depth. Man, we need this, we need that. Ryan Yarborough seemed like the correct guy to go get. He was very good after the Blue Jays traded for him for Kevin Kiermaier. I liked him a lot. He was one of those guys that was sneaky underrated. They bring him back. We're going to break it down, look at what he did in the second half last year. And we also got Scott from the Walk Off podcast coming in and joining me after giving his 2 cents on Ryan Yarborough, and as well, the upcoming spring training game happening tomorrow and all of the Toronto Blue Jays' latest news and rumblings. Before we do get into it, guys, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. Ryan Yarborough signs a minor league deal, right? Not a major league deal, but a minor league deal. And I'm honestly, when I hear that, Ryan Yarborough, minor league deal, I think that's probably the best, opportunity for Ryan Yarborough to get into a major league roster spot. I mean, we desperately needed, not desperately needed, it would have been a luxury to get a little bit more depth, but we did desperately need some more left-handed options. Yes, you go get Amir Garrett, but we broke it down earlier on the show. Yes, Amir Garrett's a great option, a great dart throw, but he's not guaranteed. Whereas Ryan Yarborough, you can get a 2-for-1 right there. You can get the depth in that bullpen and maybe even, lengthen up the starting rotation or get a spot start here and there. And you can get an option from the left side. So that's obviously fantastic. Now, be patient with me, everybody, because I'm right now on StreamYards, and while I'm talking, I'm the only person on here as of right now. I have to go and I have to pull up all the things. All right, here we go. There we go. It takes a little bit longer with this program, but there you go. Blue Jays, Ryan Yarborough, minor league deal, and it was awesome. It was awesome when he was with Toronto. 33-year-old last year, he posted a 2.01 ERA and 31 and a third innings in relief with Toronto. That was very solid. Like one of those guys when if you stop watching Blue Jays baseball, you wouldn't really necessarily notice this guy because we were pitching him when we were 5 up, 5 down, or in our starting pitcher gets blown up and you throw in Ryan Yarborough and you're like, well, the game's over already. The season's over already. But he was absolutely fantastic in his time with Toronto, right? And I would take him back in a heartbeat. Look at that whip too, 0.798. That was fantastic. I'm not worried about the strikeouts per 9. I'm worried about him giving me quality innings of relief. And everybody, literally everybody in the chat, when we brought up, damn, we need a lefty, everybody in the chat brought up Ryan Yarborough as a potential option. Now, according to Fangraphs, they don't have him in the bullpen. And right now they only have Brendan Little slated as the only lefty in that bullpen. But guys, let's not kid ourselves right now. Tommy Nance right now in that bullpen is a volatile spot. They picked him up last year, and they're not expecting him to be anybody. Yes, I know he's got the greatest stuff plus, or one of the greatest stuff plus in all of baseball, blah, 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 blah. I need to see some results. And again, Tommy Nance isn't the worst player in the world, but if you did want to add some more depth and another lefty option to that bullpen, that's a great replacement plug and play right there. Because then, and let's pretend that you do have Ryan Yarborough in that 7th, I guess, middle relief spot. You go Jeff Hoffman, that's your closer. Setup guys, any given day could be Chad Green, Jimmy Garcia, right? That's at least what we know right now. Maybe if Eric Swanson gets out of the gate hot, that's kind of like maybe he finds his way into that setup man role like he did back in 2023. But at least for right now, he's kind of like your go-to middle reliever in the 7th, 6th, or 5th innings if you really need to get it out. And then, of course, Nick Sandlin, we're going to see what he kind of provides this year for the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, again, he's very interesting to me. Coming from the Guardians organization, maybe there's something there. He's had a little bit more than a cup of coffee in the league, 3 years of service time. Again, for me, Nick Sandlin, until proven otherwise, just kind of like that filler middle relief guy. Like, maybe comes in the 5th, maybe comes in the 6th, just bridges over if our bullpen needs to go, needs someone to go in and pitch if we need some rest days. And then again, Brandon Little right now is that like middle relief inning guy. We have a big stretch of the lefties coming up. Boom, plug in Brandon Little. But then again, if you get Ryan Yarborough and you got a heavy left-handed lineup, right, then you go and throw in a Ryan Yarborough. Look at the Baltimore Orioles. They are left-handed heavy as hell. If you are in a close game and your pitcher gets out in the 5th, 6, 7, 8. You got like, or just let's just say 6, 7 inning. You got the whole dose of just like Baltimore Oriole lefties in that lineup coming up. Boom, throw in Ryan Yarborough, right? Especially if Brandon Little isn't ready. Boom, that for me is a perfect fit. And then of course you've got Yarborough Rodriguez, who is right now. We'll see how they deploy him, but right now is our long relief guy. Maybe he does a spot start here and there, a 6-man kind of role. And regardless of how you swing it, guys, or how you see it, it's a great deal. I mean, a minor league deal. I thought this guy, and a lot of people were saying too, like, we thought this guy was going to get a decent chunk of change. And people were saying like, oh, give him $5 million, give him $6 million. Dude got a minor league contract. That is a great deal for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I can't be happier. And going into spring training tomorrow, we kind of have a good idea of what our roster does look like. Now, I do want to bring in Scott from the Walk-Off podcast here, everybody, and I want to get his 2 cents on Ryan Yarborough and as well as some other things going on. But before we do, shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Jays Fan 27, Jam Project, Unknown, Joseph, Johnny, welcome in, Daniela, welcome in, everybody. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. Here we go. Here is Mr. Scott. Welcome in, Scott. Welcome in. How you doing,
Mr. Peddle? Hello. It's always a pleasure to join you here on Blue Jays Today, man. I'm excited to talk some ball.
I'm excited to talk some ball with you too, Scott, because I mean, this whole offseason, every podcast, feels like every podcast we talk about is like, oh, like the Blue Jays got to go sign this guy, got to go do this, like blah, 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 blah. Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro. We're finally now at the place where we could actually talk about the literal game of baseball. No more GM hats or armchair managers. We could talk about some epic baseball. But before we do, let's talk about that signing. Man, Ryan Yarborough.
Ryan Yarborough. And here's the thing, dude. So 41% of free agents for 2025 are still out there. Like, dude, it is February 21st. And you know who is feeling the squeeze? It is absolutely relief pitchers. It is bullpen arms because they are so volatile and their track record no one gives a shit about, right? Like, that's the truth, man. People are just like, you know what? A guy like Ryan Yarborough, tons of upside. And you touched on all of it with the left-handedness of it all. The guy has the ability to pitch innings too, which is a really nice little caveat that you can stash him as a lefty in the bullpen. He's going to be your long man. He can eat innings. And you know what? We are well aware, I'm sure you boys have been talking about it too, right? The age of this starting staff is starting to get up there. And correct. I think that there is going to be moments when having a bullpen day and just letting these guys get an extra day of rest is going to be really important. And I know you touched on Yarborough Rodriguez, and right there with him, another guy who can pitch some innings, another long type of guy is absolutely Ryan Yarborough. And bringing up the Orioles and how left-handed they are is a great point, right? We're going to play them 14 times this season. So having an option of a righty long man and a lefty long man, it does absolutely lengthen this bullpen.
Yeah, and it's huge. I mean, we were kind of talking all offseason. We're like, okay, well, either we get a starting pitcher or we get Ryan Yarborough. It was like one or the other, like, because we're not going to be picky, we're not going to be like, oh, greedy and, let's get both. We got both. So that's fantastic. And I couldn't be happier. And I kind of brought up a little bit before, alluded to it, but I think Ryan Yarborough has the easiest path to turn his minor league contract into an everyday major league contract. It feels that easy. What do you think, Scott?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I think you can basically pencil him into the bullpen here. And I think that was part of why he decided to come back to the Blue Jays and sign a minor league deal, is that he felt that there was a little bit of a safety net with a team, an organization that already knows his stuff, knows him as a person. And that's probably why he finally buckled and signed on the dotted line, because let's face it, man, the guy's kind of getting screwed over a little bit here. Like,
100%.
He absolutely is a better pitcher than a minor league deal, but this is where we're at. And you know what? The top guys, the Juan Sotos, all of those type of guys are getting mega money, and who's getting squeezed is the little guy, and to the benefit of the Blue Jays here.
Yeah. Hey, like when you look at it that way, again, I was thinking we'd have to pay this guy $5, $6, $7 million at least, per year.
At least 2 or 3, right? Yeah.
Like, I'm like, because for all the reasons like we were talking about, long relief, inning eater, was very, very good. Like, this guy's like a quality, reliable. A lot of teams would benefit from having a Ryan Yarborough. And I think to Ryan Yarborough's also benefit here. It's good for him. I like that you brought it up because, I mean, what team? I'm not familiar with every other team's bullpen and their dynamics there, but what team desperately needs a lefty to give you length?
Yeah, exactly.
Jays.
It's a great fit. It 100% is. Yeah.
You're like, perfect, right? So, real quick shout out here to Jordan Keats, who just gave he's a member. He's shouting out the fact that he's been a member for 9 months. Let's go, Jordan Keats, saying 9 months already as a member. Time flies. I know. Time literally flies like crazy, my man. Still aiming to come to Toronto this year. Would love to meet up with finally the boys. We're back. Finally, let's go, Jordan Keats. Thank you for being a YouTube member. And also, with that being said, Scott, maybe this might be a little interesting to you, but maybe there could be something in opening day. There might be an opening day kind of event, maybe opening day weekend kind of thing happening. So I'm throwing that out to you, throwing that out to everybody who's in the chat right now. Things could be cooking. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know what happens right there. To continue on with our conversation about the Toronto Blue Jays, my man, we got a new bullpen long reliever guy. That's super exciting. We also heard in other kind of pitching news that we have the tentative, I guess, rotation. For the first spring training, a tentative rotation has been released by Shai Davidi. I'm going to bring it up for you guys. Give me uno momento. Boom. There it is. Shai Davidi came out with the early Blue Jays spring training starters this Saturday, tomorrow, against the New York Yankees, the bearded New York Yankees. Maybe they have time to grow something in there. That was something that came out today. Super cool. Love that. They're going to have Easton Lucas going and pitching. Okay. Easton Lucas, thoughts on that? Scott? What do you think about Easton Lucas?
I mean, obvious depth piece.
Yeah.
I don't think too much about it. I am excited as you look. Yeah, like as you look down the list here, I do get a little more excited, right? And my eye is definitely on that Tuesday against St. Louis game where we finally get to see Mad Max in a Blue Jays uniform. Like, just saying the words at him. I never thought in a million years that I would say those words, Max Scherzer in a Blue Jays uniform, and it's going to be really cool to watch this future Hall of Famer, first ballot, hit the bump for this organization. It's going to be really cool. And I mean, even Monday, right? You see Bowden Francis penciled in there. We're well aware of the last 6 weeks of the season that he had, where he was all of a sudden this unhittable ace. Right. I'm excited to see how he looks, right? And as for Sunday, again, it's all about if these guys can stay healthy, right? We're well aware the best tool is availability when it comes to starting the season for baseball. And so you're just crossing your fingers and hoping that a guy like Easton Lucas, that's a depth piece, remains a depth piece.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up Easton Lucas to you, because I know that you're very familiar with the Buffalo Bisons. I know you've been down there in the minor leagues. I brought it up because I was like, is there something I'm missing here? Because Easton Lucas just a depth piece. And okay, good. You confirmed my pre-existing bias. Yes. But you're right. I am these next 3 games. And by the way, everybody, I will be going live tomorrow on Blue Jays Today, watching Easton Lucas. I know it's not the most exciting game, but I will be live because it is the first game against the New York Yankees, and also will be live this Tuesday for Mad Max. We'll be there for that. But continuing on, I'm very excited for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for their own reasons, right? Yarborough Rodriguez followed by Jake Bloss. Obviously, we know Yarborough Rodriguez is being moved to that bullpen, but I mean, if I'm Yariel, I came into this league to want to be a starting pitcher, and that was kind of the whole idea behind that. And there's still an opportunity for him. I mean, when you think about the depth of the Blue Jays starting rotation next year, you're not going to have Max Scherzer and you're not going to have Chris Bassett. Yariel's going to be there. Is this the year where he gets it right? It all starts this Sunday, followed by Jake Bloss again. There will be opening up. Is Jake Bloss? Is there an opportunity where he gets involved in some way later down the line this year or next year? Bowden Francis, like you alluded to, just we all know the story there. Can he continue the historic run? I'm doing a prediction where I think Bowden Francis is going to finish top 10 in Cy Young this year. And the reason why I say that, the reason why I say that, Scott, is because I predicted it last year and I was a little bit early. So I got to double down. I got to double down, man. I got to double down. So I'm saying Bowden Francis top 10. You look at the stuff. If you guys are OGs here, we've broke it down so many times. Like, the stuff is it's just so good. It plays well in the middle of the strike zone. So, and then of course, like you alluded to, Tuesday, Max Scherzer followed by Jose Barrios. That's an all-star lineup, everybody. I want to get your thoughts on that, actually. So Bowden Francis, like you say, wow, when I say top 10 Cy Young. I don't know. I don't know, Scott. I think that's a pretty good prediction. I think it's pretty good.
Adam,
give me your thoughts.
I will say this, okay? I was hugely in. I was just so in on Bowden Francis at the start of last year. Very similar to how you were. I was at spring training and got to watch the guy pitch in person. His curveball was just nasty. And the fact that he was able to add a secondary pitch in the final couple months of the season in the splitter and it be so successful. I mean, literally that pitch changed who he was as a pitcher and all of a sudden gave him an out pitch, right? All of a sudden you started seeing the guy putting up Ks, which was never Bowden Francis's MO, right? Like he was more of a ground ball guy if he could keep the ball in the park, try and get through 6 innings, right? And now all of a sudden he looks like this dominant dude who can get a guy to swing outside the zone because he's got that added pitch. So I love your optimism, okay? But I will say this. Baseball's all about adjustments.
Correct.
And we watched Francis adjust to a league who had already kind of figured him out in August of last year, and he dominated. Now the book is out on him. There is not going to be a team that comes into Toronto, into Rogers Center to face Bowden Francis who won't have a deep book of analytics on what he's doing. So how do they adjust? What do they look like? And what are they looking for at the plate against him is yet to be seen. Yeah. I think that before I buy into Francis fully, I need to see the league adjust again and him readjust.
No, you're right.
If he does that, buddy, let's pencil him into number 1. All right.
No,
there
exactly.
we go. We found our ace, our late blooming 29-year-old ace that we got for what was it? Trevor Richards and him came for Rowdy Tellez. Like it's crazy that
he's
like,
paying
Rowdy
off
Tellez,
still to this day. I love Rowdy.
Yeah.
Now I'm bringing up here like his stuff here, right? Like you're right. Like he does throw his 4-seamer right in the center of the plate, but that's because he was living and dying with that split finger on the edge, and it was people would be late on it, and they decide to pick one pitch. You look at last year, if he throws it 51% of the time, hey, depending on the count, I'm going to get this pitch majority of the time, just sit on it. You know what I mean? If that's the adjustment they're going to make, then okay. If they start hitting it, how do you readjust? And you're right. That's where I see the adjustment coming from the opposite side of things. Where look, we're not even going to touch that split finger. And honestly, he's been lessening the curveball because he's been introducing split finger, but also the curveball hasn't been as effective in the regular season. For whatever reason, it looks good. For whatever reason, it's not effective. I
love this line here, man. I love that it's just like 2023. He didn't have the pitch.
Yeah.
And then like it's the steep incline as he starts throwing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And again,
it will be interesting to see how much he continues to use it, right? Like he's ending the season at almost 20% with great success. I do wonder if maybe, like you said, as the league tries to adjust and sits on the fastball, if there is an even wider range of use for his splitter. So, I mean, time will tell. But
exactly, time's going to tell, right? So I'm excited. Maybe top 10's a little bit,
It's bullish, but I like it.
Yeah, I got to be bullish about something, and I'm in his corner and everything, right? So anyway, so that's Bowden Francis. Guys, let us know your thoughts about Bowden Francis. Now, I saw someone in the chat bringing this up, and this is actually a good segue to what I want to pick your brain about here, Scott. We had Max Scherzer versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a video of Max Scherzer versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just popping out. Keegan Matheson, I'll see if you guys can see this right here. Yep, here it is. Highlight. Actually, I haven't seen this yet. We're both witnessing this for the first time. Oh, and he gets them. Okay, so he got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But the reason why I want to bring that up is point being, I want to do a little transition right here. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr., we've been talking about it on this channel for a little bit. My first initial reaction was, oh my God, I can't believe it. Ross Atkins, send him to the moon. Mark Spauer, send him to the sun. Get rid of these guys. And then not even a couple days later, like pretty much the day later, it kind of came out from Jeff Passan that Vladdy turned down a lot of money, like a lot. And then you saw the little things, like, and I even see Nick bringing it up here in the chat. Shout out Nick, who's in Portugal getting drunk right now. He goes and he likes photos of him wearing a Yankee uniform on Instagram, and you can make that what you will. it's a little bit, it scratches your head a little bit if you're a Blue Jay fan when you hear, oh, you want to play here and you want to play for the rest of your career, but then he goes and does this. I want to pick your brain about it, Scott. What do you make of all this?
I mean, obviously, when the news first dropped at him, I was there with everyone else, just extremely disappointed, frustrated. There's just more question marks about the uncertainty of the future of this organization moving into 2026. We're well aware of all the free agents that are coming up or expiring contracts that are going to be hitting free agency. Bo and Vlad being the top two names there, obviously. And it really felt like we were close to being able to lock in our cornerstone forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the prospect of that, obviously very exciting to Blue Jays fans, right? Because it really would clear up so many questions. And even if this team did underperform in 2025 or even 2026, and they need to kind of, retool / rebuild or whatever, I feel like it's going to be far less painful if Vladdy's at the center of it. He's young enough to go through one more of these retools or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But then without him, it looks pretty bleak. And listen, I'm old, right? You're a young whippersnapper. You didn't need to deal with this team from 2000 to 2010, right? And these were dark days, my friend.
I was a baby, and I remember being like, "Why are I just assume that we watch bad baseball?"
You're like, baseball's bad. From what I've watched.
Actually, low key, not to derail this whole topic, but I was a Red Sox fan at one point as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old. Because I saw them come in and beat the Jays. I was like, why am I cheering for these guys? I want to cheer for David Ortiz. But anyways,
of course, yes, no, absolutely. All of this to say, I was expecting Vladdy to go to free agency to begin with. I honestly, very similar to how I did not buy into the Blue Jays getting Shohei Ohtani until I did. That's pretty much what happened with Vladdy. I was like, I am not buying into this. There's no reason for him to go and sign an extension right now. Obviously, the guy grew up in a baseball family. He knows the business of baseball, and he is aware of his value, which is he's a top 10 to 15 guy in the league. There's 30 teams. So to have a top 10 to 15 guy in, you only half the teams get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has all the leverage, and it played out exactly how I figured it would, because if he has another season where he pops off like last year, the 585 rumor that David Ortiz all of a sudden floated out there out of nowhere unprovoked did make it feel like, okay, maybe 585 is what he was after, and maybe what he was offered was 475, which, let's face it, is still
awesome.
an astronomical amount of money.
Yes.
Especially for a first baseman.
Yes.
So if that's the case, I think this is what's happening right now. So when we're hearing all of these rumors and all of this stuff coming out from the analysts like Passan, who came out and was like, believe me, the Blue Jays made a true run at this. Yeah. You hear there's a huge gap between them, 475 to 585. Like, that's massive, right?
If that is what it is, right?
If that is what it is, and again, we're speculating, we're guessing, who knows? My feeling is that it's probably pretty close to that. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that the Blue Jays front office just kind of hit a wall where they were like, all right, we can circle back and try this again in free agency, very similar to what the Yankees did with Aaron Judge. Yeah. And if his value isn't where he thinks it is, they might actually get him for less than they offered, right? This might be a Pete Alonso type scenario where in 1 year, Vladdy's like, oh shit, I had another 2022 where I was a good player, but not a top 10 player. And then you are looking down the barrel of
what are we looking
a lot less competition, right?
Right, exactly. Like, and I talked about this before. Like, if that is what it is, like if he wanted what he could have potentially got if he had another MVP top 5 year or whatever it is, or even MVP year, then okay, let's go see it. And I get where they're coming from, and I actually don't blame if they were offering up, like you're saying, like 475. Okay, that's a great offer for what you're also paying market value on top of that, and you're kind of paying for what if he were to do this, if he were to do his career average again, being like a mid 800 OPS, high 230 home runs. If he were to do that again, I think we're looking at 500 million. You know what I mean? Like we're looking at that, right?
Yeah.
But he's got to go. And if he's betting on himself, okay, there's nothing he can do unless you're willing to overpay massively right now for what he is right now. Then go let him prove it. And so with that being said, everything this year is going to suck. Like when we just watched that Vladdy Guerrero Jr. strikeout, I thought, there goes $100,000, in my brain, right? But no, seriously, every single time Vladdy strikes out or looks bad or makes an error, I go, there's negative that. Every time he hits a home run, every time he, comes up clutch, boom, there's plus that. And that's what it is. That's the game. And I don't blame him either. Like, people are getting upset at him. I don't blame him because you have an opportunity. None of us, we would all wish we had an opportunity like Vladdy Guerrero Jr. And I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. It is frustrating as a fan, right? Because it's so much money and he means so much to this fan base, right?
Mm-hmm.
We watched him grow up. The kid's been in the organization since he was 15 years old. There's deep roots with Canada and the fact that his dad played in Montreal, the fact that he was born in Montreal, all of this. We watched the kid grow up since he was a baby, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are, and I think this is why Vladdy's using this leverage. It just makes so much sense. Why would he leave a bunch of money on the table when there's obviously a good shot of him being able to pull this off? It's going to be tough and he needs to perform. But I think if he has another year like last year, the conversation's going to be, can the Blue Jays keep up with the Mets, the Red Sox, and the Yankees, who could all use a first baseman of Vladdy's ilk?
Correct. It's going to be scary times, but I guess from an entertainment standpoint, if I just remove how I feel about it, it's going to be a very entertaining season.
Yes.
Absolutely. Scott, I know you got to go, so thank you so much for coming on. Guys, if you haven't already, go check out the Walk Off podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go check them out. Scott does some really great stuff, has some really great guests, and as well, we'll talk about Baseball Town another time. But Baseball Town, if you're not familiar, that's a great event that Scott runs in person, downtown Toronto, with great guests. Had Keegan Matheson on. I believe you had David Schneider on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jay Jackson. Yeah. So we'll talk more about that.
Blue Jays today. Yeah.
That's right. We were on.
All right, Adam.
Thank
Always
you so
a
much,
pleasure,
man.
my friend. Thank you for having me. Appreciate all of you. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers, Scott. All right, guys. That was Scott from the Walk Off podcast. Everybody, like I said, go check him out. Great guy. We always love doing collaborations with him, and also getting beers at the Dog and Bear. Before we continue, guys, let's give a quick shout out here to the sponsor, if I can find the asset, to the sponsor of this Blue Jays Today show. Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate, and guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content. Shout out to Betway, guys, for being absolutely awesome. We've got a daily spread right here. I'm looking for things to bet on. Toronto Blue Jays AL East winner. It's 12 times your money. If I'm going to be honest here, I probably wouldn't take that. That doesn't seem good enough. I'd probably do it if it was like 25. You know what I'm saying? I'd probably do it if it was like 25. 12, I ain't going to take it. But if you want to go look at some other spreads, go check out Betway. Click the link in the details to join the action, everybody. We got a mailbag coming up very soon with all your guys' questions. So if you haven't already, go to the link in the description, click on the Google form, submit your questions there, everybody. What else we got to talk about? That was kind of it right now. I wanted to bring up a couple guys to be looking for. I know everybody's been talking about this, and I haven't, because I felt like I've already talked about it enough, but I guess I haven't talked about it this year yet. But guys, if you haven't already heard this guy's name before, you got to be looking out for Alan Roden right now. Alan Roden is going to be the must-watch guy. Other than probably some of the pitchers, he's the must-watch guy this spring training. Alan Roden, 25 years old. Ross Atkins called him out, put some pressure on the kid to show up and perform because of what he can do. Even Keegan Matheson said at one point, this guy could come up and be the leadoff guy. That's how good he is. Batting .293 last year over two teams, AAA and AA. Had an OPS of 865. What I love about this too, look at that stolen bases, 14 stolen bases. Now, I would love that to go up just a little bit more. He had 24 back in 2023. I'd love to go up just a little bit more. But I mean, I can't complain when you got an on base of 391. That's what's exciting too. High batting average and a high on base percentage. That's phenomenal, right? That's that leadoff guy that we're looking for. Not a lot of power, but damn, does this guy do provide some of that ability to get on and also run a little bit. So guys, if you haven't already, go be looking for Alan Roden. I honestly I hope he's starting game one, because yes, we have Easton Lucas. Where is it here? Easton Lucas. But if Alan Roden's starting, man, that would be awesome. All right, let's get to some of your mailbag questions here, everybody. I'm very excited to be doing this. If you haven't already, again, click that link in the details. We got a question here, and I thought this was a very good one, actually. So shout out to Luke Powelek. I think that's how you say your name. If I mispronounce it, that's my bad. Shout out to Luke. I'm going to pull it up right here on the StreamYards. Luke asking, would you rather extend Vlad and Bo for the rest of their careers and always be contenders, but never win a World Series, or win the World Series this year with Vlad and Bo and then start a complete rebuild? You guys let us know what you'd rather have. I already got my answer, y'all. I already got my answer. It's easy for me. This is without a doubt the easiest thing for me. You win a World Series this year and then lose Vlad and Bo and do a complete rebuild. 100%. I mean, what is this all for? Why do we want Vlad and Bo here for a long time? Sure, would the memories be enjoyable? Maybe, but I think it would be. I mean, look, I enjoyed the run of Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, because that was the first time back-to-back years went to that deep ALCS in the postseason, and I'll always remember that. But if we win a World Series, we're going to remember it even more. Like this, that goes down in history, man. That's an easy one for me, man. Of course, I'm going to take the World Series. Let's see what you guys have. Win this year. Absolutely. The Last Dance, saying Edwin. Correct. Also, or Edward, excuse me. Also, we have a trailer coming out tomorrow of the new season of Blue Jays Today, season 6. And it is a little bit of a Last Dance kind of thing. So I want to say that's coming out soon. But thank you. Honestly, that's an easy one for me. You guys let me know in the comments which one would you rather have. I'm going to pull up another question right here for y'all. If you haven't already done so, everybody, hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. Now, I see a question right here, and I feel like it's a good time to talk about it, because I think everybody, again, we're kind of feeling in the dumps. We're kind of feeling a little bit bad. And we don't really know how we feel about the whole Vladimir Guerrero Jr. situation. Let me pull it up right here. Look, I know everybody is kind of feeling like they don't want to watch Blue Jays baseball if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not signed. But guys, let me read the question. Let me talk about it. From Arman and Darius. Shout out to Arman and Darius, saying, if Vladdy doesn't re-sign with us, I don't think I'll be able to even watch the Jays next year. Now, I think this question came in before the deadline this past Monday. So take that in consideration. So they're already thinking they don't want to watch Blue Jays baseball this year. The vibe will be so off because of him, and Bo will just be working themselves there for their new contract. So I get that. Like, dude, I've been thinking about that this entire week. Like, Bo and Vlad, Bo I already knew was doing that, but Vladdy especially, I thought there's no way like this guy's going to be selfish and just work himself through a new contract. The vibe is a little off. The vibe is a little bit off. Like, hell, when I was watching him strike out there, I thought, you know, part of me, and don't take this the wrong way. Don't take this the wrong way. Part of me is seeing him strike out and go, okay, so we're going to get a good deal here. Or, you know, you should have signed that contract, Vladdy. Part of me thinks that. Is that the right way to go about it? Probably not. That's probably a very selfish way to go about it. But still, it's there. If he signed the contract, the vibe would be cool. I'd be like, no, Vlad, no, please do good. Because now if he does good, I'm going to be sitting here like, shit, back in my mind, I'm like, that's a lot of money. It's just what it is. You can't avoid it. That's what happens in these walk years, right? So I get the vibe's going to be off. But for this season, we have to forget about that. We have to try our best to suppress them. It will always be there. I just said it. It will always be there. But we have to try our best to suppress those thoughts. And it's easier to do that if we're winning. If we're winning, it will be way easier to suppress those thoughts, because I'll just be thinking, all right, let's go. If this is the last year, let's go. Let's go and let's win, right? Like, that's all I want. That's all I want. You know, like I just want to win. Again, like that last question. If Vlad and Bo walk, but we win a World Series, I'm cool with it. That's better. Think of it that way, right? If you're on the camp of I'd rather win a World Series, let Bo and Vlad walk. If you're in that camp, then winning a World Series is better than signing back Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If that's how you feel, that's what it is, right? So the only way we can make this feel better is if we win a World Series, and it's fine. And then it's fine, right? So think of it that way. Huh? There's still a chance for happiness this year. There's still a chance for happiness this year. All right, we got one more question. This one is coming in from Justin. Shout out to Justin. A little bit of typo in here, but we can read through it. All good, bro. Saying if Atkins and Shapiro get fired in the regular season, and whoever the interim general manager will be, do you think he will have a chance to see if Guerrero is interested to talking to him before testing free agency? I think the problem is Guerrero wants Atkins gone. Interesting thought. First of all, I'll say this. I don't know who the interim general manager will be. Maybe, what's his name from Houston? You guys got to remind me. I always forget his name until we start talking about interim general managers. You guys are definitely going to let me know. Sorry, I'm having a dumb brain moment. But him would probably be it. Do I know if Vladdy's going to want to, talk to him over Atkins? I don't know. Again, if the whole thing is like, well, they offered him the money, he just wants to go test out free agency. James Click, thank you very much. It's not about Atkins, it's about him just going and testing the market. So I don't know if Vladdy feels that way about Atkins, right? I also don't think, I guess to answer your question, I don't think Guerrero's going to sign an extension, regardless if it's Atkins or James Click as the GM before hitting free agency, unless they give you $600 million. If whoever gives you $600 million, I think you sign that right there. You don't even think about it, right? Unless you're having an MVP year, then you have to probably go. Then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to get $600 million. That's my price right now. I'm going to see if I can get even more, right? Unless, or if he's having a bad year, halfway through they fire Atkins, they bring in James Click, and he's like, here's $600 million. Then I'd be like, okay, what the hell are we doing? Regardless, there's so many different outcomes and variables here that I think regardless, he doesn't sign until free agency. That we've determined it, right? We're not signing until free agency, right? So interesting question, interesting thought experiment. But guys, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about everything we talked about so far? Again, I want to bring this up one more time. We've got a first of the year watch along, live play-by-play and reaction. That's right, everybody. We got a live play-by-play and reaction coming out tomorrow. We're going to be live. I'm going to be here at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, about to watch Easton Lucas take on the New York Yankees, the bearded New York Yankees. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to Blue Jays Today, turn on that post notification bell button, because we're going to be going live sporadically for all these type of spring training games. We'll let you guys know where we're at. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, guys, go Jays, go!